Welcome back. In a moment, we'll examine the risks of avalanches. But first, here are some other stories to keep an eye on. Brazil has ordered 11.5 million doses of yellow fever vaccine following the largest outbreak of the disease since the turn of the century. 40 of the 70 confirmed cases have been fatal, and a further 300 cases are under investigation. Protesters in Cameroon have been blocked for more than a week from accessing English websites by the country's government. The demonstrators include English-speaking lawyers and students. They claim government bias is favouring the country's French-speaking community. And the number of bodies recovered from the ruins of an Italian hotel buried by an avalanche rose to 24 on Wednesday. Local authorities reporting now another 5 people were still unaccounted for, presumed to be dead, as a result of the disaster which happened on January the 18th. The recent avalanche in Italy was, of course, triggered by an earthquake, but they can be started accidentally by skiers or snowboarders. With the ski season well underway, resorts are having to work harder than ever to stop people leaving the piste and taking unnecessary risk. Now, this footage comes from extreme skier Julian Lopez, who survived being caught in an avalanche while filming for a movie. Some have criticised the team for choosing to shoot in what could be described as an unstable area. But it can also happen to far less experienced skiers and snowboarders. And a salutary lesson from this video filmed in Utah. And it rather helps that all this high-tech gear you surround yourself with might work. Here's the guy approaching what seems to be an off-piste area. He's deciding, shall I go down that gully to the left or go straight ahead? He went straight ahead. Now, he fell 150 feet, but extraordinarily, he brushed off the snow from his camera, got up and skied away. Well, to discuss all this, still with me are the ski experts Daniel Crawford and Andrea Marina. Andrea, that guy was very lucky, wasn't he, really? I mean, doing essentially, I know you're thrill seekers, adventure seekers, but he's doing all the wrong things by taking a completely untried path.
Exactly. The biggest mistake was going where he doesn't know what was going on. He didn't know the terrain, he didn't know what he will find after that. It might have been a very unsafe slope and it might trigger an avalanche. It was a big drop, and luckily there was no rock underneath, or there was enough snow to cover the rock, so he was able to...
He was a lucky guy. He had a soft landing, presumably, in very deep snow rather than anything else.
Very soft. Very lucky, as you said. Not everyone would be lucky like that, and he could have fallen literally onto anything, and he was just lucky.
And because you're off-piste, you can't expect that hazard to be marked out, can you, with warning signs or keep left or whatever?
No, ski resorts won't mark those as piste, so there's not going to be any warnings or anything that cliff's there. So, and that's where you've got to know the mountain you're on, know the environment you're in.
And tell me then, what are the right things to do if you want to have the adventure of not just skiing down the piste, the prepared snow track? What's the best procedure to adopt?
Well, look at where the routes you're going to be going to start with. If you can get someone who knows the place well, then take a guide perhaps, I think is one of the big things, who knows the area previously trodden on, and then take the equipment with you, such as avalanche packs, avalanche gear, which is all out there readily available to hire or buy before you go into those kind of backcountry areas.
And now, Andrea, you've got some other bits of kit as well, which you probably should take on the mountain if you're going to do this kind of cross-country adventure, yeah?
Absolutely. If you're getting off-piste, you have to consider more risks, so more safety equipment. This is the first thing you want, is a transceiver. This little machine gives you a signal. So if you get buried underneath an avalanche, your team or rescue team
can find where you are.
Can find you where you are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it simply just that, a beacon, or can it send you messages from them to you, or is it two-way communication?
It's just one-way communication. So that sends a message. If someone in your group gets caught in an avalanche, you can switch it to receiving. It's going to receive the signal from your partner's transceiver.
But you have a whole pack of kit here, which you can now show us. And the pack itself is important, but you've got some other accessories in it. Now, what sort of things should you include?
We've got a probe, which is very simply a foldable stick.
Yeah.
Once you've found Once you're near the victim of an avalanche, you can use this one to look exactly where the person is. And then we've got a shovel.
Right, two parts, separate handle.
Yes.
And that could literally save a life if you can start digging for somebody. Because all the survival technique seems to suggest if you are caught in an avalanche, even a relatively small one, there's a race against time, isn't it, to get people out. They cannot survive very long surrounded by snow.
That's 15 minutes. That's the time you have. After that 15 minutes, the chances of survival that drop significantly. So
it's not very long, is it, really?
It's not very long. Oftentimes you cannot wait for help from outside. It's your team, your mates that needs to help you find you and take you out from the avalanche.
And the bag itself, does that help with your survival if you're caught in that circumstance?
That's a very big helpful tool. It's an avalanche bag with an airbag system. So if you feel an avalanche is getting triggered, you can pull the handle and a big red bag will inflate to keep you on the top of the avalanche. Obviously, less snow you've got on the top of you, the easier it is for your team to find you and to rescue.
I've heard it described as if you ever get caught in an avalanche, and God forbid we ever do, but you need to try and swim. Now describe, what do they mean by that? Swimming to the top of the snow that's tumbling around you?
Yes. Again, the higher you can stay on the snow, the better it is. The problem is the snow is much heavier than what we think, and especially when you're sliding, it's very, very difficult to even understand where is up and where is down, and to swim where we think is up or down. So,
just trying not to get into this situation, is the understanding of the way snow formations come and knowing the geography of an area mean that the authorities will often say, we've had that critical, say, 1 foot of snow overnight, which is classic sort of avalanche risk, isn't it? Do they then stop people going out and say, don't go to that area?
Yeah, I mean, they'll put warnings up and everything, but obviously that doesn't stop people. People will still go. So, but mountains will warn people. They don't want people to get hurt. They don't want people to be unsafe. So they will always stop people from going to those areas if there has been too much snowfall.
And if I am, which I am not a brilliant skier, but if I'm an expert skier, can you actually ski out of your way if you see the snow starting to go behind you, or is that a fallacy?
Yeah, I think it's moving too quick for a lot of people. So I think even as an expert skier, you're uncontrolled environments, you have no idea what's going to come. So you're better off being safe than being prepared, knowing the conditions.
So for any kind of cross-country or off-piste snowing, this kind of kit really is a no-brainer, really. Take it with you.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of mountain guide doesn't even allow you to join their group if you don't have a transceiver. It's just not safe not to use it. It's absolutely mandatory. And avalanche bags are becoming more and more popular among the skier. There are new bags coming out every year with big innovation, so you can find very lightweight bags for any kind of desire, any kind of use.
I wonder, Andrea, if there's a downside to that, and it's that people then think, I'm going to be safe. I've bought the very latest bag, I've invested all the money in it, I can go out, But the point about skiing in these irresponsibly, if you like, is it may not be you that suffers. You might start an avalanche and then hurt somebody else, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. The main thing, as usual, the biggest tool we take when we go skiing is our brain. We have to think about what we do. There's no shortcut to that. There's no piece of kit that will save your life in any condition. The most important thing is recognize that as soon as you go out of the track, you expose yourself to a bigger risk, and so you have to control that risk. And that sometimes means that you can see a beautiful run, but you're not going to take it because you don't think that's safe enough to get down.
Okay, well, they're wise words, but not every young person. I'm sure when you're old like me and you actually want to stay around for a few more years, you don't do these things. But it's fun, isn't it? And there is the temptation to go and have a bit of sport.
Oh, yeah. It's, at the end of the day, it's an extreme sport that a lot of people want to get involved in. It's good fun. But obviously, safety must come first, and you're dealing with the environment, dealing with conditions that you just have to respect. And if you don't, you can get hurt, and there can be fatalities with that.
Daniel, Andrea, thank you both very much indeed.
Thank you.
We end with our Insight Bite. This is a little something that we feel you should know, and we're talking about Chinese citizens across the world are gearing up to celebrate the Lunar New Year this weekend. It remains the most important date in the Chinese holiday calendar. The Year of the Rooster begins on January the 28th. Festivities will continue for up to 2 weeks. Now, although China has used the Gregorian calendar for over 100 years, the Chinese New Year is based on the ancient lunar calendar, which resets on the second new moon after winter solstice. Up to a sixth of the world's population will observe the holiday, with celebrations taking place in Taiwan, in London, San Francisco, and many other major cities. So we wish you well for that. That's all from me for now. I'm Martin Stanford. That was Inside.